Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Blokes podcast. Ryan Hassan from the Centre for Healing here, joined as always by Nick, the Sultan of Steel Miracle of McRae, Sutherland. Nico, looks like you've been spiraling out with your tool shirt.
Well, I know the pieces fit. Let's say that.
Okay,
It's.
all of our tool fans will get that one. Lovely.
I wonder how many tool fans we have.
Okay, so let's go. Like half of is it half the audience is male, or is it more than that?
Yep.
60,
Yep.
yeah. But okay, so then you got, let's go half of them. I don't want to exclude the ladies, but let's be honest, there's only going to be only one or two
Well,
out
there's a
there.
few ladies at the concert. There was a lot of ladies at the concert.
Um, yeah, okay. I'm going to say 10% are Tool fans of our listeners.
Well, the Icelandic, the Norwegians, they love their sort of heavier
Oh,
metal, don't
make
they?
that 20%. Make that
Yeah.
20%.
Yeah. That's our demographic. Shout out to all that the tool army
Yeah,
out there.
absolutely. So Nico, we got a guest on today. He's not in yet, but
No, it's not in yet.
what's the deal?
Um, you'll find out.
I'll
So,
find out.
yeah,
All
I'm
right.
just messaging him.
He's in the waiting room. Should I let him in?
Yeah, great.
All right.
I'll introduce him.
Go for it.
Hello, hello. Hey, Chris.
Hey, how are you guys?
Yes, that's the reaction we wanted.
Yeah.
Well
Hey, man.
played. Well played. Can I just tell you, you have a go at me for never doing homework for the podcast. I fucking listened to a book summary of Steve Hagen's Buddhist book before the episode this morning.
Uh, I told for the listeners. Where do we start? A couple of weeks ago, I was on YouTube and I went down this rabbit hole. I found an amazing channel of a Chris. I was going to say a guy, but a guy doing first time reviews of Hearing Tool. And I sent it to Ryan. I'm like, mate, you got to listen to this, got to listen to this. And he's like, oh, yeah, yeah. And his defiant inner child kept rejecting it because I was telling him what to do. But unbeknownst to Ryan, I'd messaged Chris and invited him on the podcast as a guest because there's so much to talk about. And then Ryan's like, well, who's coming on? I just said Steve Hagen, who I'd love to get on the podcast one day, but who's a Buddhist author. But welcome, Chris G.
Thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Can you hear me okay? Is all the sound
Yeah,
good?
Coming
man.
through
Yeah,
loud and
sure.
clear, man.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome. Nice to meet you both and thank you so much for having me on. This is really cool. I love the shirt.
yeah.
Love it.
Well, Ryan and I recently went to see Tool in Australia, so we picked up some merch while we were there.
Oh, incredible. I know I got to get you guys' address. I'll send you some of the merch that I came up with my kid and stuff.
I think the octopus T-shirt.
Yeah.
I think I So the first time I listened to it, I was so inspired. Like it was one of the most joyful experiences I'd ever had, and that's without hamming it up. The You were so wholesome. Your reactions were so pure. It really just revealed, I don't know, what's inside of you as a person, I think. And I started having a few beers and then a few whiskeys, and I told you when I reached out to you, I blamed you for quite a healthy hangover. Um,
That.
and I think, I can't quite recall, but I think if you've shipped the t-shirt to Australia, that's probably mine. I think I might have bought one already.
Oh, right on. I have to I'll check all the things, but we can get Ryan one then. I'll send you the link.
That'd be awesome, man. Chris, can you just let people know to give them a bit of context? What's
Yeah.
the name of your YouTube channel and also sort of your background and your love for music?
Yeah. Yeah, this was kind of a funny thing. So my YouTube channel is just called Chris G, and it all started actually last term. So let me rewind a bit, and I'll just give you hopefully a quick
Yeah.
backstory. I hope this doesn't take too long. But so I'm a professional musician. I graduate high school. I go into college for music, and I drop out of college because I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life, and I join the army. So I'm like, I can play music in the army. I auditioned for the army band and play in the army band for 6 years, and then I get out and I'm in Hawaii. So I do my 6 years. I do a tour in Iraq and all this stuff, and so I get out and things are not the best. I go through some dark times. I end up meeting my future wife, my now wife, in Hawaii, and things are going great. I graduate college, which is amazing. It was my like one goal in life to graduate college, and then I go to grad school and I get a doctorate. I'm a physical therapist now. So now we're about 10, we're about 11 years ago at this point. So I kind of took you just through like 20, I'm taking you through about 26 years really quick.
And
And
you're a professor, is that
yeah,
correct?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I started teaching, and this was my a newer chapter in my life, and I started teaching. So if we fast forward to now, yeah, I started teaching last term. I had a business, a physio business that me and my business partner, we closed down last summer, and so I was like, oh, I'm going to teach for a little bit, take some time off of treating, and figure things out. And with my students, since I have such a love for music, and I haven't really stopped playing unless you want to dive into the time when I did stop playing and where I went into some of my mental health
Can
struggles.
we? Is that okay if
Yeah,
we do?
sure.
Being a
Yeah,
a podcast on sort of mental health and trying to help
yeah,
everyone, but especially men who might be going through some rough times.
sure. Yeah, I'll go back a little bit. So I graduate PT school, and I'm working, and it's a lot, and I'm about to have my first kid, and her name's Quinn. She's the one who drew the Danny Carey
The
octopus.
octopus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have it hanging like right here. You can't see it. It's
Oh,
if it was
awesome.
stuck to the wall, like I'd pull it, pull it off. I don't want to rip it. It's one of one. Yeah,
So
and
good.
so she was about. So I worked in the clinic and it was just busting. Yeah, I don't know what the cursing rule is here, but I was just busting my
Yeah,
butt
everything's
and
free and
whatnot.
welcome.
Okay,
Everything. Yeah,
just
go for
making sure. I don't know. I was gonna text you and ask, but yeah. So I'm just busting my ass on this on clinic stuff, and my kid's about one, and I'm just swamped, and I get into this really, really deep depression. And at this point in time, I hadn't touched my horn in probably like 8 years. So I just kind of stopped playing. Saxophone's my main instrument for anyone watching, but just music in general, like I love it, and I love playing it. I played it since I was like 8 years old, and I hadn't touched my horn, and I went into this really bad, what I thought was just like a funk. And then I'm like, I got to a point so dark where I'm like, I need to see somebody. I think I need to see someone. I don't know if it's PTSD. I don't know anything about like mental health at this point. And this is my daughter just turned 9 yesterday, so this is about 8 years ago. And so I'm like, I'm gonna go to the VA. That's like our
it.
Veterans Affairs hospital here. And I finally saw like a psychologist, and it took a while to get into therapy, but she really opened my eyes to so many things about myself that I had no idea about. And at this same time when I was talking to her, I have a friend, one of my best buds I grew up with. He's a school psychologist, so I knew he knew some stuff, but he's like, "When's the last time you played music? When's the last time you were creative?" And I was like, I don't know. I'm like, I absolutely don't like what I'm playing these days, what I was playing. So I just kind of gave the horn up because I was so frustrated with all that. Come to find out, that was part of what was going on, my inner turmoil with my depression, like a perfectionist kind of, which I wouldn't say I'm a perfectionist. Like back then when I'm like, oh yeah. But now I realize, wow, I was so harsh on myself and so destructive to myself in terms of just tearing myself down. Oh, you're not good enough. You're not that good yet. Why are you not that good yet? And this inner dialogue that was just so harmful and hurtful to myself. And once I started getting into therapy, we started talking about these things. And one of the things I remember most, now there's a lot she gave me, but one of the things I remember most was she talked about Quinn because she knew I had a young daughter. And she's like, when your daughter's 3 or 4 and she doesn't know how to do something, how do you think you're going to tell her or show her or approach teaching her these things? I was like, oh, I'm going to be patient and walk her through this step by step and be really kind with her. And she's like, well, she's like, you need to start doing that. Like, picture yourself as that small child. And it really worked. And so, man, so guys, like, yeah, so that was one of the biggest turning points. And then I got into so many things beyond that. Like, I started, she got me into meditation. I started meditating. I started journaling. And I have just this morning routine now that I do stick to, and journaling's pretty new. I'll go into that, but the meditation thing's been going on for years, and it's really helped my self awareness. It's really helped my awareness of other people, and just really kind of calmed a lot of things going on in my internal dialogue in terms of how I, you know, when I like thinking about things, how I'm going to say there's certain things, and how I'm going to kind of work through things, and so that's been the journey since then. And out of that came my first YouTube channel, which is called Positively Progressing. And that's where I was just teaching music because it was not my main job. It's my passion. I love playing, but I was just teaching music. But my my overall, you know, goal with that channel, I guess, was to just empower people and to let them know, like, hey, this is going to be a journey, and you have to embrace that journey. You don't worry about the destination. Embrace the journey to get there, because that's the most important part and the funnest part. I mean, I found out through years and years, like, oh, this is when I'm supposed to be having fun, like playing around with stuff, like failing and then learning from your failures and then doing it again and then learning again. And yeah, so that's where the
We
first.
can take life. We can take life very seriously, can't we?
Oh, geez. Yeah, I was taking it way way too seriously. I mean, to the extreme, especially with my playing. I was holding myself at such a high level, and holding myself, just accountable to be where I thought I needed to be at a certain time, and didn't realize, like, I didn't need to be anywhere. Where I was just fine.
And it's a fine line because to achieve greatness, to become proficient or a master your craft or whatever, you do need that inner drive. You do need that continual strive. But I think there's a fine line, and when it reaches a certain point and tips over, that's where it becomes destructive. And it sounds like you landed there for a while, and you've done amazing to reach out and get help first of all.
Yeah, that was tough. I didn't know, what to expect. I'd never done therapy before that moment in time, and it was just the lowest of lows. And I said to my wife, I'm like, I think I need to talk to someone. I mean, because I didn't want to keep bringing it home to her. I felt like bad just laying all of my troubles and my attitude, and it was such a poor attitude and a poor. I probably was not fun to be around at all, and I just felt so bad, just laying, like, it's not like I was arguing or yelling or anything. It was more about just I just had a bad attitude. Like, I was no fun to be around. I probably wasn't fun conversation, and it just was I was a downer.
And if you
And so,
if you look back at that period of life, just objectively, from this position now, there probably weren't a lot of problems. Like there probably, as you keep saying, it was your attitude, your
yeah,
perception, the reality that you were creating in your head. On the surface, it was probably in a lovely relationship and had a house and all this sort of stuff.
yeah, I wrote an essay. Like, I wrote an essay about it. Like, I just wrote something like, I'm like, how can I have an amazing wife and a house? And I had a dog at the time. His name is Dexter, and the best dog ever, and just had a kid, and all of these things, have a really good job and all these things. And I'm like, how am I still unhappy? How is this
Mm.
possible? To, like, have all of these wonderful things in my life, but I still can't find happiness. And it was so confusing to me that it was like I was like literally just bewildered. I'm like, why is all this happening and I cannot find happiness when all of the things around me, when you write it down or paint a picture, it looks beautiful and perfect, but it just up here it wasn't. It was.
Which also creates a lot of shame when we're like, well, I've ticked all the boxes and externally I should have it all together and I should be happy. And then all of a sudden we feel shameful that we're not. Chris, how long do you reckon it took roughly for you when you started, feeling like you were maybe initially in a bit of a funk and whatnot till you reached out for help? Because it's always an interesting thing I find because like I said, this is a woke blokes. It's a bit of a piss take the name, but it's like, we're trying to get men talking about mental health so they can come forward a lot quicker because we have a culture here in Australia very much where men, it'll take a hell of a lot for a stubborn man to even drag himself to the doctor if he's physically unwell. Whereas
Yeah.
mental health, it's even more so. So I'm interested to hear your journey with sort of how long that took.
Yeah, mine was a little bit more the system, however long the system took, because I was kind of ready. Once I had accepted, I was ready to get some help. I was kind of just waiting for them to put the paperwork through, and they were pretty quick. I would say, I think if you were to ask me like how long did it take me to realize I was at the very
Yeah.
bottom, it took me quite a while to realize like my downward trajectory. I would say, 6 months to a year.
Mhm.
It was almost like as my daughter was growing up, I felt like I was getting like worse and worse. And some of that was fatigue from not sleeping because you have a kid, and some of it was being overworked. My workout schedule was off, my sleep schedule was off. Like all these things were changing, and I think it just slowly, but I would say probably 6 months to a year before I realized, wow, I'm like miserable, and there's no reason why I should be, you
So
know?
Yeah. Well, well,
our version of VA is called DVA, so it's Department of Veterans Affairs, and I haven't heard great things about the American veteran help system, and I think the Australian one was very similar. And as we're part of the Commonwealth, we had a royal commission into DVA because of the. Uh, it's very misleading. It's called Department of Veterans Affairs, but it's actually an insurance agency or insurance company, and they spend millions on trying to not pay out veterans help and support. So this royal commission went through, and when I first reached out, it was probably the cut. I was already at semi rock bottom, but getting in touch with such a massive um, machine, it just chewed me up and spat me out, and that exacerbated a lot of my conditions. And I just, that's where I finally hit rock bottom. And yeah, so it's amazing when you reach out. We finally get ready. We finally acknowledge, we're not okay. We finally reach out and get some ask for some help. And a lot of the times, and Ryan and I, both have our individual practices, mental health practices, and a lot of the time we hear clients go, when I finally reached out, it was terrible, and it's so sad. So it's great to hear that the VA finally got the ball rolling for you and had some good people waiting for you there.
Yeah, it was kind of one of those things where I, and you asked about like rock bottom where when I knew I was at it, and I never was suicidal. I'll put that out there, but I did at one point in time I felt like if I was gone, I would no one would miss me. That's kind
mm,
of like
Yeah.
where I got to. Not that I wanted to die or felt like I needed to die or commit suicide. So it wasn't about that. It was more about like I have nothing to live for, more of a feeling versus like I don't want to be here. And when I got there, that's when I reached out, and the mental health side of things here had levels of like an acute, like you get straight into to primary care, and then the other side of it was a horrible experience for me when I went to the actual VA, and there was this primary care where I got to see someone at the VA, and they got me in within like a month. It was really quick, and I got like 8 or 10 sessions with this. I don't know if I should say her name, but she was a wonderful wonderful therapist, and and it was like great. And then she's like, all right, well, our time is up after it was like I think maybe 8 weeks or so, and they sent me out to the community, and then that's when I just was like, I'm gonna just take. I had two really bad experiences, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take all the things that the first doctor gave me and work on that stuff, and I think I can do a lot of this stuff on my own, this self work, and it's not that like my trajectory was like all positive all the time, and it was like what I realized was my dips in depression, they were shorter in duration, and I would bounce out of them much quicker with these skills and with these things I learned, that and then I wouldn't go as low, and or it would just be like a couple hours, or it might be a 3 day one, but I wasn't concerned because I realized like each emotion isn't permanent,
mm.
and these things I've learned over the time where I was like, okay, I might be feeling this way right now, but I know this isn't going to last me for the rest of my life. I know that this is just going to pass. And then as I meditated more and did a lot of reading and things like that, it started helping with that thought. And it's not that I am always, it's not like I do say at the end of my videos, always positive, always progressing, but that has so many different meanings and to me in so many ways. But it's a great way for me to tell people, it's if you keep pushing through, like things will work out. You just have to keep believing in yourself, in other people, and in the process. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
hearing
you
a lot
really
of
turned up for yourself. You turned up for yourself, though. Like, to have that awareness of like, all right, I've gotten some great help and support. The help and support I'm now getting externally isn't that great. I'm going to you take these resources and implement them, use them myself. Like and I think it's really important for our listeners to hear that self agency. No one's gonna do it for you. No one can do the work for you. You got to do it yourself. So that's huge. What were you
it's
going to say,
a
Huss?
it's real. Reread what you're saying. It's a real fork in the road that a lot of people get to, and you chose the way, Chris, of going. I'm going to take ownership and agency here and start to implement the things that I believe are going to be better for my mental and emotional health. The other fork in the road is no, somebody else needs to fix me, and a lot of people can fall into that trap, and that's when it's this constant this externalizing, the source of okayness and happiness and whatnot. And I think, yes, we definitely need help along the way in those rough moments, but there's also, that personal agency. And it sounds like through the meditation practice and the getting back into the music and being able to express yourself creatively have fostered more resilience, which means that, that's what people think that, oh, well, depression or anxiety will be gone and my addiction will be gone. And oftentimes it's not like that. It's like we get better of pulling ourselves back out of the river and not getting pulled too far downstream. So that's the hats off to you.
Careful of doing us out of a job there, Huss.
Yeah, no, that
Like,
did
yeah,
sound
just
like
do it
that.
yourself. Do it
Well,
yourself.
that was one of my goals when I started this whole thing. I'm like, I want to one day not be needed.
Yeah.
I
um,
always tell people I'm a really terrible physio because I try to get people well and teach them how to help themselves heal. So it just keeps me out of like, from treating them again. I'm like, I might be the worst business person physio wise, but I'm like, I'm sure I don't care because I love helping people. But there's definitely similarities in the field because I have people who think they just need me, for exercises and keep doing this. I'm like, you're healed. You can do all this stuff on your own, and I'm trying to empower you to keep that going. So I found the similarities and the parallels in the mental health stuff that I did with the physical health stuff, and I was like, this is all connected. It's all
yeah.
we can treat it the
Are you
same way.
saying there's a correlation between how we take care of our mind and how we take care of our body, Chris?
Is that
This is
profound or what?
this is fascinating stuff. Um, that fork in the road that you're talking about has, for me, it's the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. It's this I can do this versus I'm a victim, and it's so revealing when adversity just reveals so much, and whether a person can see it. Often we're too close to it. We're in the experience, so we can't really see it. And that's where having someone external, who's a bit more objective and not judging or anything, can say, all right, well, you're trying to go down this path. You're trying to have that woe is me, pity party, I can't do this. What happens if you switch that mindset, change that attitude up a bit, and start putting in the work,
Yeah.
which you did. So it's awesome. Can I ask about the music? Sorry, Hus, did you want something there?
I was literally going to go right there because I wanted to know about that creative side. I so
Well,
many male.
I'm holding this like Danny Carey drum. So I play the drums, Chris, and
Nice.
so there's a Danny Carey drum key here, and I'm holding it and going. Let's just get into the music now. Um, the correlation between with mental health and music, like it's sound healing is a form of therapy. We're vibrating on frequencies. We tune into things. For me, playing the drums is amazing at regulating my nervous system, getting into the parasympathetic. There's so many benefits from music. What's your take on it all?
Yeah, I think I mean, whether you play or not play, I think music can be such a healing and also, I mean, as this podcast is showing, a really it can bring people together in so many different ways, right? And that's how I've always felt with music. I've never been a big like I want to be center stage. I want to be like the main person in front of like in front of everyone. I always thought of music as like a collaborative thing where I would much rather be in this amazing band. And it's Tool is funny we're talking about music now, and I think about Tool because Tool is what I imagined to be in terms of like every part of the group has equal importance. Every all four members, in my opinion. This could be
Mm.
just
No, no, we're on that
I'm
because
so biased.
Maynard hides up the back, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So he's not the front man.
Yeah, and that's what I've always thought of music, where each individual has to bring the other individuals up and work together to make this beautiful sound versus like one person standing out front and just getting all this like this glory and fame, and then the other three or five or whatever the other band members just don't get any type of recognition. And it's just yeah, and so it's always been kind of this collaborative thing to me, like even from a young age playing with bands that were maybe it was orchestra band or it was a jazz band, but then as I got older and played with smaller groups or we wrote our own music, and now when I do some playing with I play with one other of my buddies. He plays guitar. We do like a guitar sax kind of duo thing, and a lot of the time it's we're supporting each other. If he's soloing, I'm supporting him with time, and vice versa. And so yeah, so I don't know. I think music is so powerful. But for me it's very meditative. It's a way to release
Mm,
stress in a
mm,
different way other than exercise. I like to exercise. I love working out too, but it's just a different form of kind of even meditation in a way. Yeah.
mm. It's an active meditation playing the
Yeah.
drums, for me. So, and the we talk to clients about the definition of health. It's a state of complete mental, physical, and social well-being. And so I'm just wondering, when you got into your funk, you weren't, picking up the horn. You were probably disconnected from community, and your social health probably really took a hit.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I'm not someone who has like a ton of friends, but yeah, my social health was me coming home to my wife, probably with a bad attitude most of the time, and then just, I mean, I was always there for Quinn, like I could bring myself out of it for her because I was
Mm,
so happy to have a new kid, and it was so
mm,
amazing, such an amazing time. But that was like the only time I was finding myself happy. But with the social wise, yeah, it wasn't something that was happening. Yeah.
How have you found it?
Could you talk a little bit about like getting back in touch and playing? Because I think that strive for perfectionism or feeling like we're not going backwards with some sort of creative aspect stops a lot of people from engaging. I noticed this even with my son. He's 7 and he's been playing piano and learning piano, at school, and we've got one at home here. And we just had our big summer holidays, it's like 2 months off school here, and we've been doing stuff. He just hasn't been playing, and he jumped on last week, and I could see because he hadn't been practicing, he wasn't able to play the songs he could play before, and there was this visible frustration and upset, and him wanting to turn the piano off and do something else. So I've been trying to guide him into like, let's just sit down and play the wrong notes, just to get him doing it. But I'd love to hear your process of how you were able to engage back with playing music, but sort of let go of that perfectionism aspect that I think we all have to a varying degree.
Yeah, I kind of had to tell myself before I started back up, like, hey, everything you did up until this point, you need to do differently because it didn't get you anywhere.
Yeah, okay.
Like, and it got me to a high level playing, but it didn't bring my attitude or my ability to like cope with whatever I played. Like every time we get done with a gig, I remember getting done with a gig and it would be like if it was a good gig, I'd be on a super high, and if I played like some shitty solos, I'd be like way down here, and it really doesn't matter because nobody even will remember any of my
Mm,
solos
mm,
ever. Like in a gig that's random, like on a Monday or Tuesday night. So I told myself before getting into it, like, you got to approach this differently. Let's cut out. Let's just do everything differently. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna not even read music. I'm gonna just transcribe. I'm gonna do everything by ear. So I started doing everything by ear. I started learning Sonny Rollins solos by ear, Miles Davis, Roy Hargrove, like you name it. I was just learning everything by ear. And so you guys might not even know those three people. You probably know Miles
I
Davis.
don't know.
Yeah.
I love the correlation you made between who was it? Because when I was watching your reactions, I had all these things in my head. I'm like, I hope he does this, and you fucking nailed it, man. Like there was so many. Um, the Elvin Jones reference with Coltrane, like Coltrane's keeping time. It was so spot on because it's true for Tool. Like it's they're all masters of their craft. They all just go around each other, but they sort of guide, and I don't know. It was just hearing you say that was so good.
Oh yeah, Justin's holding it down like half the time when Danny's just doing whatever the hell he wants. Yeah, it's amazing. It's
Have you listened to Wings for Marie Part One
not
and Two
yet.
yet?
I gotta
Okay.
do that one. Yeah, it's coming up, but no, I
When you do it, can you? I mean, and I don't want to change anything about it, but and
no.
maybe do it after. But just tuning into Justin, it really like I meditate to that song. I'll just sit there and listen to it with my eyes closed and tune into Justin and the discipline that man has just to keep doing the same thing and the timing, and then everything starts dancing around it, and you're just like just
I can't
mind
wait for
blowing.
that. Now I gotta do those back to back, right? Do I need to do something
Yeah.
leading into that, or
No,
someone
no,
told me I need to do
It's just
Judith
those
too or
two.
something from
just one and two.
oh, one and two, okay.
Yeah.
Not Judith too, like from A Perfect Circle. Do I need to do that?
No, no, no. Just stick to Wings of Marie Part One and Two.
Yeah, I get so many comments and requests where I'm just like can't keep it in order, but I think I'm learning it all. I
Oh,
hope.
mate, you're doing. I was thinking, like you've really jumped in the deep end, and the way you've managed yourself, and you know the support that you've gotten. You know, we read through the comments, and there's some cracking comments. But how have you found the Tool Army in general? Like,
Amazing. I mean, the most amazing fan base I've ever been in. I mean, I don't know if I've ever been in touch with like a fan base. I mean, I have all my, my buddies who we have this just a type of music we listen to. I grew up, a lot of people ask me like, what did I listen to my whole life, and I did go deep into jazz music like straight away. Like probably by the time I was like 12 or 13, I was like already deep into it.
wow,
And right I was probably, let me think, like 91. I was 9. Okay. So yeah, about like when I was 9 or 10, I started listening to Dave Matthews Band, and they had a saxophone player, Leroy Moore. That's right around the time I started playing saxophone. And so I was like, "Oh, I want to play all these tunes." And so I just started playing Leroy Moore, and and he passed away a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago at this point. And it was the first time when a musician passed away, I like felt it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this
mm,
is the guy responsible for me playing
mm,
saxophone." So I did stay up with like some, I guess Dave's kind of jam bandy, but I did, listen to some Foo Fighters, and I was really into Green Day at one point, like early Green Day, not the new stuff. I don't even know what they're playing these days, but like Dookie album, and then so I was kind of into like, those a little bit alternative, I guess you can call it, but I never went down a couple of my friends really like Nine Inch Nails. I never listened to them, Alice in Chains, and I would see Tool T-shirts, and I was like, oh, I've never heard that band, and I never listened to them up until The Pot. You guys saw that, or maybe
mm.
both saw it, but yeah, that was the first time I was exposed to the Tool, and I'm like, gosh, this band is like it's unlike any and still unlike anything I've ever heard because now I've listened to so much prog metal and prog rock. I think I got like 60 something videos up and still nothing quite like it. Like the closest
Oh,
thing I guess would be what they were probably influenced by, which is probably Rush. I mean, some
mm.
Rush influences there, but that's still even like they've gone a different direction than Rush so far from what I've heard with Rush. Yeah, it's wild.
Oh, it's crazy.
Ryan watched your first two videos last night.
So yeah,
Finally,
yeah, I'm glad I did.
I was sweating for a while there.
I had just such a wonderful experience. I watched the pop one because when you know the music so deeply, and when I know what's coming, but you don't, And I can see you loving this one bit, and I'm like, oh, just wait about 30
But
seconds.
I heard things that I haven't caught before, and you know, it's when you listen, you have to listen to it with headphones firstly, but it's yeah, I was like, you know, when I loved how innocent you were at the start. You're like, oh, that drummer and that guitarist and that singer, and you know, oh, I've been following him since Opiate, like since the start, and oh, that drummer, yeah, that's so wholesome. It's so sweet, and then you know, watching you figure it out and get your head around it, and just you know, Danny was obviously blowing your mind. Firstly, it's
Yeah, that's what's
well,
I love rhythm stuff. That stuck out the most, like right away. But then, and then I now I've probably listened to the pot 50 times, right? So I'm like, I cannot wait for this. I don't think I've said this yet, but I'm actually putting together like my top 10 like favorite moments in Tool up to this point because I know I'm not through their
mhm.
whole catalog, but there's just some parts, some songs now that I listen to that I'm like, this is maybe one of the best musical moments I've ever heard, and this is the same band that just keeps doing it. So I'm trying to put together a little top 10 list or something that's
That'll be
just
great. That'll be so good.
Yeah.
Because there's moments as well, like when you'll listen to a song, a Tool song, and then it might be the 10th or the 15th or the 20th time that you hear it, and it just hits you on a whole different level. I listened to Descending off their newest album, and I know it was maybe the 20th time I listened to it. I was on the way home from the gym, and I've told Nick about this, but I had to pull the car over. I couldn't drive. I was just in such a state. It just hit me. But I loved, was Lateralis the second one that you did after the pot?
I think so. I think it
Yeah,
was. Yeah,
because
the
I just
pot
love. I
Lateralis.
saw the kind of bridge or the slow bit in the middle there, and I saw your eyes close like this, and I went, "Oh well, we've got another one. There's another one of the armies joined us."
I, I was writing notes and for this, and I was like, uh, you know, when I was going to introduce you, a veteran doctor of physical therapy, professional sax player, music teacher, Tool fan, born 7 minutes and 10 seconds into Lateralis. He was in utero for the pot. Um, so he was conceived sort of in the pot, and then he was born in Lateralis.
Yeah.
Um, and I was like, his reactions were pure, did everything right, didn't try to analyze, rewound a little, didn't pause too much. You know, recognize that every member of the band is a master of their craft and that Maynard's voice is an instrument. And the 4 to 6 and 2, where your mind was, you know,
Oh,
you were spiraling, and yeah, it was so
love that
good.
song so much. Yeah. That was one that really hit me, 46 and 2. I just was like, gosh, this song still might I know I'm not it's hard to pick a favorite, but that one I just listened to Right in 2. It's not out yet, but Right in 2 was also just
Brilliant
man,
song.
such a
Brilliant
great. I mean,
song.
and some underrated ones too. Like I did listen to the Lateralis album full on, and I think the Patience super underrated. Not a lot of people, um, requested that one, but I was so pumped to get like because I got to hear the Grudge again. So I'm like, oh,
Mm,
I love the Grudge, and it goes into that I guess that Eon Blue Apocalypse, and then
mm.
goes into the Patient, and I'm like. This song is fantastic. Man, I love the Patient. That whole album was just
That's
incredible.
a great song. I remember The Grudge. We back when Laterals first came out, and back then we'd wait outside Sanity, the CD shop, when we knew that the CD was going to be released, and we camped out the day it was released. I remember we got the CD, me and my friends, we went and put it in the car stereo, and the first song's The Grudge, and after 8 minutes, we're both like, "What the fuck are we in for with this album?" Jesus Christ!
So
and
yeah,
they talk about the whole band talk about, you know, listening to it from start to finish, and I love that you're just sort of drip feeding and connecting. But it'll be really interesting when you've got around to listening to it, or to go back and listen to, because you know, they've been very deliberate in the way that they construct their albums, and it really does
yeah.
take you on a journey. I was saying to Hass one day that um, before I was with my partner, I was batch pad, and I had a fireplace, and um, um, it's the Numa, what's it called? The latest
Oh,
album.
Fear Inoculum?
Yeah, Fear Inoculum. Fear Inoculum came out, I made sure I took a day off, and I got a bottle of gin and tonic and lemons. I got the fire going and got headphones, and I just laid on the couch and just went, let's see where we end up. And it was one of the greatest times of my life. It was just, yeah. And then the drum cam of Danny came out, and people just lose their minds. And yeah, it was great to see you get the Boston. That was such a nice touch getting that singlet.
I had to get the jersey. Oh yeah, for sure. Did you write that comment on one of the like you took the day off and listened to that? Did you write that comment on my
Yeah,
YouTube? I remember
yeah.
reading that one. I was like, man, this dude take the whole day off to listen to an album. That's so I remember that. Like I try to read them all and get to, and there's a lot, but I do remember I literally remember that comment on YouTube. So I'm like, wait, unless you and some other person like had the same
No,
idea.
so I
I
commented.
guarantee he's not the only one though, even though it wasn't
I commented on a few of them. Comment is Myndfit, so that's my
Okay.
business name. So, but it's yeah, just such a. I mean, there's so many layers, and then you figured about Alex Gray and the all the artwork side of things and the psychedelic stuff. And if you get into Danny a bit more, he's into some stuff. One of my favorite comments was, rumor has it that Danny did a deal with the devil. We don't know what Danny got, but the devil got some drum lessons.
Yeah, right. I know it was so. I've heard some really funny ones on Danny. The other one's like, oh yeah, Danny can actually do five rhythms at a time, but he needs to take his pants off or something. Like,
yeah.
What was that other one I sent you? Has the Tool has seven
Seven
members and
members,
Danny
Danny's four of them.
Carey's
yeah,
four
yeah,
of them.
that's great. Yeah, that
There
one.
was I saw a meme the other day. It was like a timeline of human history and significant events, and it's like the creation of fire, creation of the wheel, and then Danny Carey's live Numa performance, the Vic
Yeah,
Firth.
I think I
And
saw that.
speaking, going back to the perfectionist thing, and as I said, that's a real double-edged sword that can take us a long way, but it can become our Achilles heel. And I don't know if you know, Danny started, as jazz as well, and he. Have you got the baked potato? He plays at the baked potato, and
I've been looking for him to play there, but I think he was just coming off tour, like from Australia and New Zealand, and
yeah.
I didn't see him on the. I've been looking because the baked potato is probably like in maybe an hour and a half from me, so
Okay,
so
awesome.
I'm gonna go check him out there. I actually have I haven't even listened to the band yet because I'm waiting, but I bought a Volto shirt
Oh wow.
because I'm
Cool.
like I cannot wait to get into this band, and yeah, and so that's
Well,
just
get into
yeah, it's
the Seagullman as well. He drums on the Seagullman.
okay.
I'll send you something. Yeah.
Yeah, send it. Yeah.
Um, but what was I saying? I
Perfectionism.
don't know. Oh yeah, the perfectionism stuff. So on that live drum cam, I can see three times where Danny fucks up. No, he doesn't fuck up, but he misses something. But he just he allows that to exist. He doesn't get frustrated. He just moves seamlessly into the next bit. Even he knows all these cameras are on him, and he just keeps going and crushes it all. And I think it was Miles Davis. I mean, you know this much better than I. There was something about, it's not about the playing the wrong note. It's about the next note. And like, yeah, Danny was just such a prime example of that.
Yeah, I think Miles famously said there are no wrong notes.
Yeah,
Yeah, something along those
yeah,
lines.
yeah. It's all about the next note. It's all about how you keep
Yeah,
going or something.
and that was kind of one of those things, I noticed with just people that I got to play with, like professionals that are on like, this next level where they didn't take themselves too seriously, and two, they were able to recover faster than like anyone else. So that recovery time where it's almost like, yeah, you can play a ton of wrong notes, but like it's what you do to like land and recover from that. And they're just so great at it because they've been in so many situations so many different times and been able to manipulate their way out of anything. So, and that was kind of my rebirth, if you will, back when I started picking up my horn again. I was like, okay, this is what I'd rather focus on, and I have a hell of a lot more fun doing it now. And and making these mistakes and then learning from them and then seeing how fast I can recover. My buddy Reggie used to call it like how fast, like he used to call it like being on the hot seat. He's like, oh, how fast can you get off the hot seat, you know? And
Yeah,
he
It's a
had
good
always said,
life lesson, though, isn't it? You know, you can
totally.
apply that to absolutely anything in life. I was thinking about my golf game. Then I was thinking
Yeah,
about
I was
actually.
thinking about golf earlier as well. Ryan and I are mad golfers, and we don't play for a while, and then you get rusty, because you haven't done it. And so many people go out with these unrealistic expectations, and the reality is they start blading it or fatting it or doing silly things with it, and then they get really frustrated and chuck their clubs, and it's just it's whether it's music or golf or whatever you're doing, it's just when you relax into it and enjoy the ups and downs, and you really adapt and playful with it, that's where you can actually become really great.
And we're all going to hit bad shots. We're all going to play wrong notes. We're all going to fuck up in life. It's like we're fallible human beings. It's well, apart from you, Nick. The rest of us
Thank you.
will, though. And it's sort of how quick we can pick ourselves back up and realize that, that's part of it. But what's the next
I
phase?
saw this pianist playing with an orchestra, and she'd prepared herself for this piece, and it was massive crowd and everything. And the orchestra started playing, and she looked at the conductor, and she went, "I haven't studied this leading up to it." She for some reason got the wrong
Sheet
music
or
or
something.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she'd studied this specific piece, and then the orchestra started playing something different, and she's like, "Oh!" And it was amazing watching her get into this heightened state, and then she self-soothed and she came down, and then because her mind wasn't scrambling, she allowed the music to come back to her. Like she learned it years ago, and then she played it flawlessly without any sheets in front of her. It was from a mental health, mental adaptive sort of perspective. It was fascinating.
that's great. That's awesome. Yeah. It reminds me of there's a guy, his name's Kenny Werner. Have you guys ever heard of Kenny Werner? He's a piano
Heard
player,
that
but he wrote
name.
a couple books about kind of about this whole thing. But in the beginning, what's the name of that book? The book is called The Effortless Mastery. That's the name
Oh,
of the book. And he's a piano player, like one of the greatest like to ever do it, jazz wise. Really, really amazing player. I've seen him a couple times, but he talks about this, like if you think back on the times when you were like the most loose and having fun, you probably played your best or had your best golf mat, what are they called? Matches or rounds? I'm
Round.
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Not
yeah,
a big,
man.
yeah, or like, whatever it might be. Like if you're kind of like having fun, maybe you have a couple beers or whatever, and like you're just swinging the ball and you're swinging the club and you're hitting the ball great and you're having a lot of fun. But when you put a ton of pressure on yourself and you're thinking about too much, is typically you underperform or have.
Mm.
And he talks about that through the book because the book's all about just kind of like letting go and just letting the music flow through you. But he ended up writing a second book that was like, what was it called? It was called something like you're the instrument. Like, so it's more about like everyday life being like that, being in that
Mm.
flow and not overthinking and not tensing up because like you just talked about, Nick, where if you're at this heightened level where you're just like all clenched up, you're gonna have a really hard time just physically being able to flow.
Well, you just become really rigid,
Tension.
and yeah, and when you're tight and tense, it comes out really clunky and funky. So it's
Yeah.
learning how to stay here and not have those expectations and those
Clunky and funky.
perfectionist
That's going to be your
tendencies.
new nickname.
Awesome,
Yeah,
great.
you guys, I don't know if you caught any of this, but this guy, he's a mountain climber, Alex Honnold. Did you see
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Let's
the
listen to
Taipei
Tool when he
101.
was. Yeah.
He was listening to Tool. That was one thing I was going to bring up, but yeah, that which was awesome. Like we were watching the thing, and I'm like, oh, I got to mention that in one of the videos coming up. But he also they were keeping his like statistics for his like heart rate and stuff, and they were saying how much he had to keep his like adrenaline and his heart rate down so that he wouldn't make mistakes and things like
Mm,
that. Just because
mm,
when you're amped up for too long, that's when you can, well, one, fatigue faster, but then two,
yeah.
you can make mental mistakes, and he's got no line or rope or net, so it's like you're not going to make that mistake on a whatever 1,100-foot building. But I thought it was really interesting. They talked about that, how much he kept himself calm, and that was the first time he's climbed in front of like a crowd of people. He's usually like
Mm.
private. He did
There's
that.
people in the windows, filming him
That
and
was
everything
wild.
too.
Like, I had to look away every time he climbed one of those dragons. I'm like, I'm not
Oh,
watching this.
Oh yeah,
I
I
think
can't. I get
I
sweaty
think
palms. I can't watch.
I thought I thought he was missing a part of his brain. That
The
tries to keep
amygdala.
us safe. Like, yeah,
Yeah, right.
he's a different cat. That's for sure.
He's talked about it before, which is interesting, and I'd be curious what your guys' opinion is on this. But a lot of people said, "Oh, he's missing, part of his amygdala or whatever, so he has like less fear." But he disproved that. He said, like, no, the reason why I can do these things is because I put myself in so many fearful situations, and I'm
Mm,
pushing my like that fear muscle, if you will.
mm.
I'm pushing through it and pushing beyond it. And he was kind of saying like a lot of people don't do that now, and I like the guy, but I don't think maybe people think he's likable. I really like him. I like that message where we're probably not doing enough things every day to put ourselves. I mean, we don't have to climb a building, but maybe push. I told my students this last week. I'm like, do one thing hard this week, and then we'll discuss it in class today because they're 20 something year olds. And I'm like, what are you doing that is pushing yourself out of your comfort zone? Because that is going to build your resiliency. That's going to build you up. I'm trying to help them with all the problems I had in my life that I've learned over the last like 10, 15 years where I'm trying to grow from. And if I can give them at least a little bit to think about, then I feel like I'm doing a really good job as a teacher to build them for their careers. Because
For sure.
being in the clinic 40 hours a week is going to be tough. And if you can't study for one exam like right now, like how are you going to do a job where people depend on you? Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, it's
like yeah.
the old expression, a comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. Or a ship is safe in harbour, but that's not what ships are built for. It's our
Exactly.
our natural tendency is to want to feel safe and secure and comfortable. But that's where we can, stagnate and get softer and everything. So, I think old mate, climbing, I think he's probably gone to an extreme. But there is middle ground for us, day to day people where I think it's really, camping is so healthy. It's like just you get out there and have to build your own shelter and cook your own food on a fire and, it reconnects with a very primal part of us, but it's also you've got to go down to the creek to get your water. It's not just conveniently on tap there and all these different things. So yeah, having that as part of your lifestyle, I think is really healthy.
Yeah, I think Alex Honnold finds we find our flow state at the just beyond the edge of our comfort zone, not too far that we go into overwhelm, but just beyond it. And so he finds a place of flow, which is why he can make great decisions and not panic and keep his heart rate low. His version of, the edge of his comfort zone is very different to ours. So I think it's sort of working out and he's put himself in, like he said, in so many situations that his comfort zone in terms of climbing has just expanded to, levels we probably haven't seen before. Whereas I think all of us can look at, where's my comfort zone? Where's my edge? And how can I don't have to spend all day there, but how can I find moments in my day that are at my edge, whether it's physically, mentally, socially, all of those kind of things. And that's how, we grow and expand that threshold or that window of tolerance that we have.
Yeah. I love
I
that.
don't know what it's like in the States at the moment, Chris, but in Australia, a lot of teenagers, especially because of COVID, and we had pretty severe restrictions and lockdowns over here. And so everyone was very insular, and a lot of parents are coming to me. I don't know about you, Hass, but and going, I really need help to get my kid out of their bedroom and off their games. They're got the headphones on and they're talking to their friends or whatever, who are all in there. So there's a healthy element to it, but they're just wasting away in their bedrooms. So is that sort of happening over there a bit?
So not with my kids are pretty young, so not so much with my kids, but my brother so my nephew is 26, so he kind of went through college around COVID time and but my nephew, yeah, my brother's like he's got friends. He's got a couple friends who live within a mile, but they all just sit on their computers with their headphones on and talk there. He's like, why don't you go out and like hang out with them like outside of the house, and So he's seen it, and my nephew's getting much better at it. Like he's getting out more, but I still see it with him. And my niece not so much. So he's 26, she's 16, and she's kind of out and about. So like I feel like it didn't even hit that generation at all,
Mm.
here
Mm.
at least. Well, from what I don't know any other. I mean, some of my friends have some 15, 16 year olds, and they're out and about doing a lot of stuff. And in California, like I don't know where you guys are in Australia, but we get pretty much nice weather all year round, so that we can be outside pretty much all year. Unless you guys in Perth or
No, we're in
No, we're
Melbourne,
Melbourne.
so
oh, okay.
it's
We get 4 seasons in one day here.
yeah.
So
So we can get out at some point normally.
yeah.
Um, Chris, I had a question around just the YouTube in general. Like, what's it like? Like, I guess, what plans do you have for the channel? And
Oh
B,
yeah.
like, what's it like being a YouTuber? You know, and I've,
And have you blown up because of Tool a bit? Like where else they
yeah,
reached out? I
That was
reached
my
out to you, but
first. I don't know where the pot video's at, but that was the first like blow up for sure. And that so I started this channel, the whole thing. So I told you I had my other channel. I started this React channel because I'm like I started teaching last term. That's why I started journaling. I wanted to become a better speaker. So, I'm like, let me see if I can just journal every day, write my thoughts down. It'll help me slow my mind down. I can speak better. I can present better to my students. So that was my original thought with the journaling, and then that's had a whole other profound effect on my brain and all these other things and my thinking, I think, but we'll see. And then but I'm like, how do I connect to these 22 to 25-year-old kids? I'm calling them kids because I'm in my mid 40s. So, you know, I'm like music. So I'm gonna tell them to send me tunes. I'm gonna start a channel because I thought it'd be fun, and I'm gonna just react to it and see what happens. And then one of my students was super into like metal and prog stuff, and he mentioned Tool, and I was like, okay. I'm like, I'll do that. I've never heard of them, or I've never heard them. I've heard of them, and that was kind of the one that just started going and going and going. And then I remember doing the pot, and then I think I recorded Lateralis within a day or two after that, and then I was just doing editing and like releasing them, a couple times a week or whatever. And so yeah, so the Tool was kind of the catalyst, I would say,
yeah.
definitely. I
That
mean,
the pot 393,000 views.
wow,
It's
that's
cool, right?
wild. Yeah, that's
but I think there's a lot of Tool fans out there, but I think you know I come into contact with a lot of people reacting to Tool, and some fun. There's some you know African American dudes. I think it was what song was it? But they got stank face. They're like, oh, this is funk. Oh, this is funk, and some really cool playful ones. There's a great voice coach, and she's gone down the trying to figure Maynard's vocals out, and especially the live performance of Sober, where he's and she's like, how the fuck is he,
yeah,
get anything out there? But for you, it's when you watch yours, it's captivating because you're so genuinely having an experience with it, and it's not there's nothing manufactured. It's really really organic. So I just can't wait to keep watching them. I was on your Patreon thing earlier, so I want to get the first sort of first hits of it.
oh yeah, yeah, I know. It's gonna start spacing out a bit with YouTube. And Ryan, you asked about like my plans for it. I'm gonna just keep doing. Sorry about that. I just hit my mic, so I don't know if that went through, but I'm gonna keep doing the reacts. Like I have a list, and I have kind of a couple bands I really enjoy. Tool obviously being one of them. Opeth, I also really really like Opeth, and I really like Rush. The first time I've only listened to two songs now of them, and I'm really really digging Rush. People really like Ren. I actually like Ren. I don't know if you've heard of him, but
Yeah, yeah, he's
he's a
amazing.
British artist, and I actually like playing saxophone with his music. So that's kind of a fun thing to be able to just play on the channel because I don't do that as often. I did some Tool covers in my
Mm,
shorts.
saw
Uh,
that.
not in my physical shorts. I meant in my YouTube shorts. But I probably was in shorts. I'm wearing shorts right now.
You're
It's
in California. It's nice
yeah.
weather.
But yeah, and then yeah, but some of the bands have just really like captivated me in terms of like, wow, this is like unlike anything I've ever heard. So I want to keep that going, just as a React thing. But I want to figure out how to give back in some way. And I'm still stuck with that. I really wanted to. I would love for the channel to be something. I mean, wherever it goes, I'm cool with. But I'm trying to figure out how can I give back? How can I? Maybe it's already helping people more than I know. But I would love to just keep helping people, whether it's through a message from like a sponsor that wants to help people on a grander stage, because I don't know how to do that like side of business things. But if there's certain things I can do, I kind of want to make it so people feel like it's a safe place to be. It's a really great community, and people are just building each other up. And this is like when you guys reached out, or I guess Nick reached out, because Ryan, you had no idea I was coming, but I was really excited because I was thinking, well, maybe this interview will help one or two people, or 10 or 1,000, whatever it might be, but one person's enough just to really make a difference, right? And so I was just trying to figure out a way, and that's what's been more on my mind. So I'm going to keep the reacts going. I'm going to keep, all that going, but I'm still it's still. So if you guys have any ideas, I'm all open to
Just
anything.
keep doing what you're doing, mate. Seriously, it's the
Yeah.
yeah, you're definitely helping more people than you realize. I was just thinking before. Remember when we used to make CDs and give it to girls we liked, and music,
Nico's mix.
music. Nick's mixtape. Funky and clunky.
Funky and
Don't get to see
Clunky, 1996.
it. But music heals, it connects, it communicates, it does so many things, and you've created this channel, and it's resonating with people, mate. And I comment on there as Myndfit, so I'm happy, to keep doing that. And if people see Myndfit, they might reach out and want to get some help or support or something. I've got clients in the US, so it's you're just creating this thing where I think it'll organically happen for you. I don't think you have to do too much except for just focus on you and what you're doing.
That's what I'm trying not to force it. I'm really trying to let the
Yeah.
people. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, I don't know how to answer your question, Ryan. I'm like, where's the channel going? Because I have no idea. But the it would be really cool to get one of those those silver play buttons. Like you get 100,000 subscribers. That would be really cool.
Be
That's
cool.
like an external validation. I know I'm not super into that, but it would be cool because I do work really hard on the channel, and
Oh, I can't
I
imagine.
mean, it's it's listening to music. So at the end of the day, it's like one of the funnest things to do, and I'm just making videos on it. And yeah, no one's asked me like how does it feel to be a YouTuber? That's like the first time I've ever thought to myself, oh, I guess I am a YouTuber.
Mm.
So, but it's fun. I mean, the people, I mean, I would say 99.8% of comments have been super nice and positive. Had a couple of funny ones like that I just have to laugh at. Like one dude made a comment about washing my hair. One dude made a comment of something else, and I'm like, whatever. I'm like,
It's
it's all
still
good.
YouTube
It's
comments at the end of the day.
it's the internet. It's the internet that
Yeah, it's
does
gotta
that.
but
be, but
but
but it's really rare. Yeah, it's everyone's been super positive, which is really cool.
that's great. And I think like watching the videos yesterday, I just had such a smile on my face for the whole video. And I thought to myself, like, if I was having a really shit day or a shit week or I was in a rough patch, that would definitely still bring a massive smile to my face and bring some light. I think as well, listening to different music, as I listened to it and I didn't know of a band that you were reacting to and I loved it, then I might get put onto their music and it might open up my horizons that way. And I think as well, what I'm feeling as a bigger picture as well is helping people get in touch with that creative side again. I think as a society, we've so lost our creativity or it's been suppressed or shut down, whether it's music or writing or whatever it is. I think it's been greatly, shut down as a society because we get rewarded for our analytical and, thinking brain and whatnot. So I think the more people that can get in touch with music and get in touch with being creative themselves, that's so much of the work that I've done with men over the years is trying to balance them out from having absolutely no creative outlet and just this analytical, socially rewarded brain to trying to get them balanced out so they can find some sort of creative outlet. So I think that, is going to help people greatly as well.
That's great. Yeah, thanks. That's amazing.
But you taking the time to do this, mate, and if you share this, people listening to your story, that's going to help so many people as well. Like I'm very open with my experiences. Has is as well. His time in jail that was probably really tough for him. Uh,
Oh, wait,
It's- it's-
you made it through jail. You're a good-looking dude. I don't know.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
His ass didn't. His
That's
face
why
did.
that's why I only spent 2 days in there because they were like, "Here's
Oh,
try security
yeah,
for
yeah, you
me."
did that song, man.
It's like Matt Rife going to jail. It just wouldn't work well. But when you're vulnerable, I think that's the key to it. And there's zero shame. A lot of my work when I first got into this was talking to people that if you've got a body, you've got physical health, and a lot of people take care of their physical health. If you've got a brain, you've got mental health. But not a lot of people work proactively on their mental health. And we don't have to wait until we're in a funk. We don't have to wait until we're at rock bottom or in the headspaces that all three of us have been. There's a lot we can do on a day-to-day basis to strengthen this. And
Yeah.
playing an instrument, I love the science around people that have learned instruments or languages or have got more neurological pathways. So if they get dementia or Alzheimer's, they've got more pathways for that to attack, so it doesn't actually affect them as much as other people.
Right. Right.
So yeah, just being vulnerable, mate. You've really
Yeah, I think we love the YouTube videos because you're so genuine. You've been genuine here on the podcast today. So yeah, we just want to thank you so much for coming on, and thank you, Nick, because you gave me a very genuine experience when Chris
fuck, you
popped
made me
up.
work for it, mate. For 2 weeks, I've been trying to force you into it,
But wasn't it perfect? Because I had the beautiful experience of the videos just yesterday.
It was absolutely perfect.
Sorry to stress you out there, Funky and Clunky.
It's all right.
A reaction inception, what he did to you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, thank you again, mate. We've taken up enough of your time.
Yeah, thank you. This was great. I can't thank you guys enough. And let me know where and when this happens. I want to mention it on one of the intros, and I'll link it to whatever. This is great. What you guys are doing is fantastic, and I believe truly in it all. And I think it's wonderful. And I thank you guys so much.
Thanks, man.
It's been a real pleasure,
in
mate.
touch. This is awesome. All right, mate. Thank you so much.
Well, take care.
Chris, thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you on the next episode.
How are you going to end it? You can end it for us, Chris.
All right. Yeah. Always positive. Always progressing. Later.
Later.